Imagine this. One morning you check your mailbox and there's a letter from a large construction company. They want to build a road where your house is. Do you want to accept their generous offer of $1 million so they can tear down your house? Most of the time people accept the offer. But what happens when you don't? When you don't want to move and you don't want to sell your house? This is known as a nail house or a holdout. And it happens all around the world. The most famous fictional nail house is probably the one from Disney's Up. In the movie, Carl, a bitter old man, is living in a neighborhood that's being torn down to build new houses. Carl stubbornly refuses to leave his house until a judge forces him to move. Using thousands of helium balloons, Carl turns his old house into an airship and together with stowaway Russell they experience an unbelievable adventure. But like most times, truth can be stranger than fiction. The movie Up was actually based on a real house near Seattle. It was owned by Edith Macefield, purchased in the 50s. As a compensation to move, she was offered $1 million, a new home and nursing care for the rest of her life. But she refused. During the last years of her life, Edith struck a friendship with the superintendent of the construction project. And when she passed away, she left the house to him. Instead of tearing down the house, the superintendent sold it and it's now being used as an office. China has a lot of nail houses too. For example, Louis Bagan, a former duck farmer, had a highway built around his house. Eventually the tactic worked and Lou had to sell his house because of all the traffic that was driving around his house. The neighbors of Yang Wu agreed to sell their house to make room for a new shopping mall.
No.
But Wu declined all offers. A 10-meter deep pit was dug around his house and power and water was cut. This didn't stop Wu though. The local martial arts champion used his nunchakus to make a staircase and climb back into his house. There he and his wife opened a restaurant. The most unbelievable nail house has got to be the farm located in the middle of Narita Airport. When the government wanted to evict the farmers, almost 16,000 farmers and activists gathered. And what you can easily call a war broke out. In the first weeks of battle, 3 policemen and 2 activists died and hundreds had been injured. And when the airport finally opened in 1978, it had just a single runway instead of the planned 3. After more years of legal battle, the second runway opened in 2011 and they are still fighting the farmers for the last runway. In the meanwhile, some of the farmers are living and harvesting crops just meters from the runway in the middle of the airport. And now you know.